will take a one-game lead on Sacramento. And a win against the Dallas would certainly get the Warriors off to a good start when they play the Mavs on Sunday afternoon, the day they retire the jersey of Andre Iguodala. Final score 132-106. Warriors get the win.
And a really nice win for the Golden State Warriors to kick off the stretch run after the All-Star break. They pretty much go up to Sacramento. They thrashed the Kings, a team that they had not beaten this season, a team for the last about a year and a half and kind of had their number, of course, ending last season at Golden One Center in the play-in tournament. Less than 365 days, it looks very, very different. The Warriors roll into Sacramento and just absolutely whack Sac in the nation's capital, 132-106. They dropped them down to 500, catapulting them in the standings to officially ninth place. And this is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. My name is Evan Giddings. 888-957-9570 is our number. Shout out to our YouTube chat. Everyone filing in, powered by First NorCal Credit Union, the number for the text line as well. How'd you feel about the game tonight? How'd you feel about pretty much the wire-to-wire waxing? I know that the game got a little bit close in that second half and dropped down to about 8 before the Warriors pushed it back up to 20. But to me, this was a game that, again, I know they were up by 17, I believe it was last month against Sacramento, state capital, pardon me. I say nation's capital. Up in Sacramento, they're up by 17 going into the half against Sac about a month ago. And they ended up losing that game, obviously, in kind of tragic fashion. Tonight, they're up by 15 at the break. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it's just the Jimmy Butler effect or the fact that Moses Moody appears to be playing his best basketball of his young career. Brendan Pajemski appears to be back to where he was when he was playing his best rookie season basketball. On a night where Buddy Hield is 8 for 11, making 5 threes, Chivano, you can retire that. He's back to being Buddy. It's going to be very difficult for a team that is not very talented, in my opinion, in the Sacramento Kings post-deadline to beat this Warriors group. I didn't feel like that this game was ever in question. And I realized that there were some feelings of, well, the lead is slipping. I know that they blew the lead to Chicago, or they were down big to Chicago, came back. They blew a lead to Houston right before the break. They obviously had a clutch game against Dallas that they dropped. But this game, to me, was never in question against Sacramento. And it's because everyone played a part. This was a complete team effort against the Kings in which no one played more than 32 minutes. That would be Jimmy Butler. No one needed to score more than 22 points, although 5 had double digits. 4 different players had 20 points tonight. And I think the stat that stood out to me that indicated just how well the Warriors were clicking is the assist to field goal made ratio. They had 40 assists tonight on 50 makes. The ball was moving, and they were taking care of the basketball. And conversely, the Kings did not take very good care of the basketball. They turned it over 24 times. The Warriors turned that into 38 points. And when you take care of the ball, when you move the ball well, and you prevent your team from doing so, or your opposition, I should say, you're going to be successful. And I think the Warriors, again, at the break, they're up by 15, but they had 23 assists at halftime on 28 makes. So this was a team that was clicking, and it was apparent in the first quarter. Like Buddy Hield had 11 straight off and out of the gate. He clearly, and I don't think he was shot hunting. I don't think he was jacking up shots necessarily, but Buddy Hield had it going tonight. I thought that in between, and really the biggest stretch of the first half was between about the 2-minute mark of the first quarter and then until Steph came back in around 8 or 7 minutes in the second period, where the Warriors went on a 27-13 run. They outscored the Kings in non-Steph minutes by 14 points. And that, to me, is wholly the Jimmy Butler effect. I realize that Pods played well. Moses Moody was awesome. We can get to both of them. Quentin Post had, I think, 9 points during that stretch. He had back-to-back threes during that run. But to me, it's Jimmy Butler being able to orchestrate a second unit in a way that no Warriors player has done, I would argue, since Kevin Durant. And it's the non-Steph minutes that the Warriors have had trouble winning since Kevin Durant left. Obviously, they've won a championship, and they've had a lot of success since he's been gone, but there's not really been a player that I think you can throw out there on the court and expect to not just keep you afloat, but to take advantage of inferior opponents. And I think that Sacramento has become that after the deadline. And I think the biggest swap has been Fox for Levine. Levine stunk tonight. and I don't think he's been all that impressive despite some of his numbers in Chicago. Jimmy Butler manhandled the Kings, and I thought he did it in a way that was kind of easy, or effortless in a way. And he can turn it on when he needs to at the end of shot clocks. He's able to get to where he wants on the floor. He plays with a purposeful pace that I really enjoy and appreciate. And when everybody else is also playing with that level of steadiness and energy, to me, the Warriors are looking like a different group. And that energy that we heard from Draymond Green during All-Star Weekend, I don't know if Draymond's someone that can certainly promise a championship. I have doubts and reservations that they can deliver one. But the energy that he was speaking with is something that was apparent right from the get-go tonight. This was a team that was locked in. And I think the most encouraging part of it, again, is that they didn't really need Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry to carry them in what turned out to be a 26-point victory going away. Curry took 3 shots in the first half. I think he only had 7 points in the first half. Now, he ended up with 6 assists and 1 turnover. Between him and Butler, they had 13 assists and 1 turnover. Between he, Butler, and Draymond Green in this game, they had 22 assists and 4 turnovers. When those 3 guys are taking care of the basketball, it's difficult to beat the Dubs. And Jimmy Butler's been somebody that just does not turn over the basketball. And so the fact that he's able to run a second unit as good, if not better than anybody since, I would say, again, Kevin Durant, even when KD had to, you're pretty much just, it's to the point where you're not thinking about it as much as being the second unit. You're just staggering superstars. And that's what Jimmy Butler has been so far through 5 games. He's been, I think, advertised during his time in Miami, Philadelphia, Minnesota as maybe not the prototypical superstar because he doesn't score 25 or 30 points a game, but he's a superstar from the standpoint that tonight, along with Curry and Moody and Podziemski and off the bench Hield, I thought Butler dominated this game with 10 shots. He was 5 for 10. He only took 1 3. He had a nice couple of mid-rangers, which he has kind of been, I guess, wading into the water towards, but got to the free throw line 7 times, had 7 assists, 2 offensive rebounds, and 3 steals on defense. And, when Jimmy Butler is playing with, again, that purposeful pace, and the Warriors do as well, they're able to speed things up, they can slow it down, but to me, they're never really playing out of control. And that's why, again, I felt like at the half, this 15-point lead to me felt different than the 17-point lead they had the last time they played in Sacramento. Because if you recall in that game, the Warriors built, and I think for the most part, before the deadline, have built these large leads on the backs of their three-point shooting. And if they're shooting the ball well, then it's going to be a good night. But the moment you turn the faucet off, then you start to see those opponents make their runs. And that's exactly what Sacramento did in their last meeting. Obviously, they didn't have Levine. It was pre-deadline. But in this meeting, the fact that the Warriors were shooting the ball well, but at the half, I should say, when they're up by 15 points, to me, I felt confident that they were going to win this game. I didn't know it was going to be by 26, but I felt like they were going to be able to walk away with this win because the difference is when they can create that first half separation, it's going to be because Curry is playing well, but I think the second unit is going to be able to at least keep leads, if not extend them. And you also have now shooting coming off the bench, which can kind of steal you points. Buddy Hield and Quentin Post now are both coming off the bench, and if they're hitting shots, they help you. And if not, they're not going to hurt you as much because they're not playing 25 minutes. But then the second half sustainability, that's where I think the difference is now with Butler. And it's not solely because of him. I think it's sort of a trickle-down effect that he has. But the turnovers don't tend to pile up because he takes good care of the basketball. And I think what he does is Butler makes it difficult for the Warriors to, let's say, put together 3 or 4 straight poor possessions. Now, they might miss shots. Like, teams are going to go on runs against them, and they're going to play better opponents, and it's going to happen. But the fact that it went from 20 to 8 to me in the modern game is not that big of a shock. What they were able to do was push that back up to 20 because the Warriors were consistently, you could tell, even when the Kings were making a push, the Warriors weren't getting successive or 3 or 4 straight bad possessions. They were missing shots. They had a couple of turnovers, but it wasn't piling up and sort of snowballing in the way that it had prior to the deadline. So, and also the fact that Jimmy Butler is not a player that commits live ball turnovers. They're not going the other way and getting easy baskets. So, I mean, obviously, the key to tonight's game, just on paper, was the turnover battle. The Warriors forced 24. They turned them into 38 points. And the Kings could not do the same to keep up with the Warriors. But I think overall, again, the first half separation is something we've seen before, but the lead sustainability come second half, to me, is where there's going to be a little bit of a difference now with Butler on this team. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap-Up. Shout out to our text line. For the 510, Pleasant Hill Pete says Jimmy has joined the team. The energy has been high all night and hasn't waned when teams make an attempt to come back against the Dubs. Earlier in the year, the Dubs would fold at the hint of a comeback. I'm kind of with you. Like, for example, I don't know if they blow the game tonight. Very may well could have. But I think the game before the break against Houston, that's the game they blow. Like, that's the game they lose without Jimmy Butler. And I think if you go back before the deadline, Kerr said it, but I believe him, they win that Utah Jazz game if Jimmy Butler's on this team. And again, they're going to play some better squads. Although, as a whole, I think what else we can look forward to is now there seems to be, and the Warriors have won 4 of 5. First time they've done that since their 12-3 start, November 22nd. Go back. But I think the fact that the Warriors are now piling up wins against bad teams, or it looks like they're going to be able to do that with relative consistency, is encouraging, because they play the second easiest schedule in the West the remainder of their 26 games. And teams in front of them, outside of Minnesota, because they have the easiest schedule in the West, outside of that, the teams in front of them are playing tougher schedules. So if the Warriors can go on a 7 of 8 stretch, if they can go on 7 of 9 or 7 of 10 and play winning basketball, if you could go 18-9 over these last 27 games, which now requires you to go 17-9, you might be able to, I think you can certainly jump to the 7-8 range. That might be able to get you 46 wins to the 6th seed. I have my doubts. I think it's going to have to be closer to 48 wins for the Warriors. But again, if you're playing inferior opponents and opponents that, looking around the West, are a bit different because the deadline did some damage to them, maybe injuries are beginning to happen around the league. If the Warriors can remain healthy and can continue to play well against bad teams, I think they're absolutely going to be in a position to challenge for that 6th seed, which to me is the goal, should be the goal. And if they play like this, I think is an attainable goal. All right, let's get out to Sam in San Leandro. Wants to talk about the Warriors and, oh my gosh, a title. Cam, let's go Sam in San Leandro. What's going on, Sam? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I hope you guys having a great night. I just wanted to say it was a hell of a game. I felt like Steph Curry, had a little time to rest also because of Butler. And I just want to say, if you guys remember, Jimmy Butler took the Heat 2 times to the finals. Once 2023 and the other one, I can't remember, but I'm lost in my thoughts. But I feel like Jimmy Butler is a great asset to the Warriors, and it gives a little time off Steph. I just wanted to say, I feel like Draymond's right. They will win this championship this year. So just don't doubt the Warriors, my brother. They got this. Thank you.
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, man. Look, I think the optimism is going to run rampant, and deservedly so. It's like the Warriors haven't been a watchable product for the better part of 2 weeks in a row, again, since November 22nd. And after that, they blew a game to San Antonio. All right, let's calm things down. They lost a late game to, I think it might have been, the Nets. That's right. That was the Dennis Schroeder 4th quarter game. And then after that, it just all went downhill from there, and it looked like a season that was falling apart. So it was funny. I was talking to one of our producers here, Chris, in the studio, and we're trying to figure out just what's different, right? What's different? Is it just Jimmy Butler? Because Chris pointed out, and I think it was a great point, the fact that, they didn't need a one-man band tonight. They didn't even need a 2-man show. They had a lot of different singers, whether it be from the background, stepping up to the center stage, that were playing their part. I mean, Buddy Hield and Moses Moody were the Warriors' leading scorers tonight with 22 points, and they both shot 8 for 11 from the floor. They were an identical 5 of 8 from three-point range, And hell, they even both got to the line one time. Then they made them. But that was also somewhat of the calling card for their first 15 games. Obviously, it's pretty recent, but to me, what makes it more believable is number 10. It's Jimmy Butler III, because the 12-3 start, and they obviously had some impressive wins. You know, they went into Boston, they won, they beat OKC. I realized that there was some, extra parts of those wins where Chet got hurt against Oklahoma City. I don't think Caruso was playing either. Jaylen Brown and Porzingis were inactive for Boston, but those were still impressive wins. Like, those are wins that good teams get. And then the Warriors showed themselves to be not a very good team, or one Jenga tower away, being DeAnthony Melton, from being a really subpar basketball team. So what's the difference now? Because, again, they've won 4 of 5 for the first time since November, and it feels like some of the things that have stood out to me just instantly, and the only good team that they've played has been Houston. I would argue Mavericks, I know they lost to the Mavs, and the Mavs aren't a bad team, but they were down 6 rotation players. It was Kyrie Irving and co. But I think that, for me, that the fact that the Warriors have a better chance to take care of the basketball over 48 minutes, that to me is something that feels different. Like, they were very loose with the ball, even for the beginning of this season. I also think that they were a little more 3-ball dependent than they are now. And I think even they were more Steph Curry dependent than they are now. For example, one of the biggest wins that they had earlier this year was the home victory on Clay's return to Chase Center, when Steph went crazy in the fourth quarter. I think he might have had 37 points. But those were the kinds of performances they needed to dispatch teams. And the Mavs were more whole at that point. They had Luka Doncic. But I think the fact that the Warriors are a team that is taking better care of the basketball, that's something that's good. I also think that it feels like they've established who their starting lineup is. And how Kuminga fits into that remains to be seen. But Steph's going to be the one. Podziemski appears to have locked down the shooting guard position. Jimmy Butler's your 3. Draymond Green is going to play the 5. And Moses Moody is your 4. That's something that I don't think is going to change unless proven that it can't work. But right now, what I like about their starting lineup is it does a couple of things. I think, number one, it puts a lot of different creators on the floor. Guys that can handle the ball, that can put it on the deck, and that I think are quality decision makers. Now, Curry and Draymond have a propensity to throw the ball into the second row every once in a while. But for the most part, Podziemski, I think, knows where to go with the basketball. Jimmy Butler is a very good decision maker, whether he's in the lane, whether he's on the perimeter. Moses Moody, at the very least, can connect plays. And I think he's also building more confidence as to when to attack, when to shoot. And if he can knock down open threes at a decent clip, well, then he's going to make this Warriors small ball lineup, I think, pretty effective, at least until Kuminga comes back. And if Draymond can hold up as the starting center and health-wise is going to be able to give you, a quality 25 to 30 minutes. He played 28 tonight, was a game-high plus 23, had a couple of blocks, 9 assists. If Draymond is able to give you 25 quality minutes at the center position, I think the Warriors are going to be looking good. My question is he going to be able to hold up? Are these bodies that are in their mid-30s and above going to be able to hold up? That's a big question that I have. However, if you're getting contributions from those younger guys, from Podziemski, from Moody, from Kuminga when he comes back, well, then it takes a little more pressure off of the older legs. Again, Butler played the most minutes tonight. He had 32. If they can take care of those opponents that are a bit feeble and vulnerable, well, then you can sort of build in rest throughout these games. And the Warriors they're going to need it. You look at the condensed schedule they play coming up, and after tonight, it's Sunday, but then it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 4 days next week, 4 games next week, I should say, 4 games the week after that with a back-to-back Monday, Tuesday during a road trip. The Warriors aren't really going to have a long home stretch, and it's kind of going to be their final homestand of the season coming up at the beginning of March through the middle of March. And then after that, it's a long trip on the road. There's going to be some taxing stretches that are left for this basketball team. So how they're able to use their young players to offset the load of their older guys is also something that I at least think they're in a better position to do based on their starting lineup. That's number one. Number two is it keeps their streaky players or their specialists, specifically on offense, on the bench. I mentioned this earlier. Buddy Hield, when he comes off the bench, he can be the guy that helps put you over the top and can help you in a game like this run away with it. He is in the starting lineup. He's a guy that can help you win games. He also can shoot you out of games. If Buddy Hield wasn't shooting the ball well tonight, well, he would have played 15 minutes because when you come off the bench, your job is to shoot, and that's about it. Your job is not as much to figure out, okay, well, I got to go and stop this guy. Buddy Hield's not going to have to guard Kyrie Irving. Tonight, he wouldn't have been matched up. If he was starting, he might have been matched up on Malik Monk, and that would have been trouble. But instead, Podziemski draws that assignment, and I thought he at least did a decent enough job. But also Quentin Post is someone that comes off the bench. And, you know, I noticed that Quentin Post he's kind of eviscerated bad teams so far. But if he can build his confidence knocking down shots against these groups, well, then 9 first-half points is really all you need. Again, to go into the break up by 15. Gain your first-half separation, and the question is, how can you sustain it? But I thought that the fact that Quentin Post and Buddy Hield are now coming off the bench, that gives you a little more juice and firepower, whereas Kerr was starting those guys, trying to have his starting lineup be a little more offensively minded when they were really struggling. But now it appears that they've fallen into what I think is their best two-man, five-man lineup, two-way five-man lineup, pardon me. And I think there's still, there's still work to do. I'm a little skeptical that all of this is going to work for a long period of time against top-tier opponents. But again, they don't have to do that every single night. They play the 20th toughest schedule the rest of the way. So if they can beat teams like the Kings handedly, you can only play who's in front of you. And the Warriors, if they are to make a postseason run, they got to climb. And that's the most important part right now. As you're looking at the standings, that's a win I don't want to say it's a must win, but it's a win you had to get tonight if you want to put yourself in a position to challenge for the 6th seed. If you lose tonight, you're back to 500, number one. You have also lost a game on Sacramento. And now, with the win, you're in 9th place. You're a game and a half back of 7th, and you're 2.5 back of the Clippers because all of the teams in front of you, for the most part, weren't able to take care of business. Minnesota lost tonight to Houston. Where was the other loss that came? I think it was the Clippers. It might have been before. Yes. Yeah, so the night before, the Clippers got knocked off. Phoenix got knocked off by San Antonio. But the teams in front of you, when they lose, you have a chance to gain ground. And so that's another reason why it was important for the Warriors tonight. And they took care of business against the Kings, 132-106. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors Wrap Up here on 95.7 The Game. Let's get out to one of my favorite cities. Let's get out to Richmond. Talk to our guy, Rod. Wants to get into Jimmy Butler. Or Rob, pardon me. Rob, what's up, man? How you doing?
Oh, man, I am really good, Evan. Great to hear you tonight, bro. What a good game it was by the Warriors. It was a great game. They played so together. I mean, this is what we've been wanting, right? This is what we've been, dying for as fans in between this 4-1 and the previous 12-3 stretch, right? We were kind of in, no man's land, or I don't know what it was called, but we were bouncing around in that 500 range. And this Jimmy Butler, oh, what a revelation! What an integral part of the team. That I called Steiny and Guru a couple weeks ago, and I said, man, it's a bad trade because of the histrionics and whatnot. I got egg on my face, and I am more than happy to wash it off. I am more than happy to clean myself up, and I'm going to call Steiny and Guru next week at some point, and come forward with it, because right now, man, the eye test, what I am seeing when I am watching these games, it's sweet, sweet music. It's sweet, sweet music. And I agree with you, bro. These games are against teams that, don't offer a lot. But earlier in the season, we beat those other teams, those OKC, we beat those teams, yeah. Right? We beat Boston. MLK Day was just terrible, but we beat those teams this season. So I think we can put those notches in our belt. I mean, not our belt. The team can put those notches in their belt, right? The team can build on this 4-1 stretch. Because here's the thing, man. If they keep doing 4-1, 12-3, right? That's the same math.
Yeah, good point.
If they like, then the 6th seed is there for them, right? And there are teams that are as long as the team can stay healthy, that's the most important thing, because you're seeing what's happening around the league. Other teams they're experiencing injuries, right? I mean, it's a long season, and then you still got the playoffs. I mean, 2022 all over again. I mean, it's not the Splash Brothers era anymore. It is now the era of the Butler and the Chef, and it's beautiful to watch. What you said about Jimmy Butler helping the second unit, being, just a distributor and just his vision on the court, man. I mean, Evan, I'm blown away. I'm loving what I'm seeing. I'm so happy, like, seeing that win tonight, seeing them build on their lead and it not having to be a clutch game.
Yep.
I mean, like Minnesota, they lost a clutch game tonight, man. Less than 2 minutes left. Games, under 5 points, but Minnesota couldn't close it out.
Yep.
I mean, we've got something, Evan. Our team has got something. And this team, I mean, you saw what happened tonight. We just need to build on it. The team just needs to build on it. I don't know why I say we, man. I just feel like I'm so much a part of it because of how I feel, right? It's such a
No, I totally got you, Rob. I'm loving the energy. I want to get some other people in here. 888-957-9570 is the number, and I understand it. And I want to touch on one thing that I think was at least apparent to me, and I fell victim to the trap too. I've talked about this for a while. I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan, but I was cautiously optimistic about the trade, and I don't think you're by yourself, Rob. There was a lot of people that were calling in, I think on both sides, about how Jimmy Butler is going to be a godsend for this team, as much as Jimmy Butler is going to destroy this team. And look, I think we're still, this is the honeymoon phase of the Jimmy Butler experience. And when he comes into a team, generally, number one, they win. Number two, he takes them pretty much as far as they can. I think the difference with this Warriors group is Jimmy Butler has never played alongside a player as talented as Curry. I also don't think he's played for an organization that's as buttoned up and committed to winning as the Golden State Warriors. The Chicago Bulls, I think Tom Thibodeau is a good head coach, but the Chicago Bulls, after Michael Jordan, have not been that franchise. I think that Minnesota, when he got there, were an absolute mess. And I don't believe it made the playoffs since 2004. When he got to Philadelphia, it was still in the relative infancy of Joel Embiid's career, and they were not a franchise that was yet ready to win, even though he got them to a conference semifinals and was a Kawhi Leonard triple clank away from getting to the conference finals. And then he goes to Miami, which is a buttoned-up franchise, but didn't have the talent appropriate for him to win a championship. The fact that he got that group in 2020 to the finals, make of what you want of it with the bubble, I thought was unbelievable. But the fact remains that I believe that Miami is a buttoned up franchise. But again, the combination of both, playing with the talent of the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry and Draymond Green, and the resumes that they have, along with a head coach like Steve Kerr, and a franchise that is committed to that, he has never been a part of. And even in Miami, Jimmy Butler had to be the leader of the group. He does not have to be the leader each and every night. To me, this is a situation that Jimmy Butler is properly suited for. Number one, because he's paid, and so he's all in for right now. And number two, because he hasn't had it this good before, I don't think. And look, I have I have doubts that it's going to end well because things typically don't, but we're not there yet. I think Jimmy Butler is going to be locked in for the remainder of this season. And the Jimmy Butler that we've seen for the first 5 games, like this is actually why I'm even more excited. Do I think that the Warriors can go and win a championship? Again, I got my doubts, but the Draymond title promise, it's the energy to me that's apparent. Like, can he deliver a championship? We'll find out. But to me, the energy that he's speaking with is the energy that you saw from the beginning of this Sacramento Kings game. Energy that begins with Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and has clearly been transferred, I don't know, maybe by osmosis, to Moses, Brandon Pajemski, Buddy Hield, Quentin Post, everyone on that roster. You know, they right now are feeling the way that they felt, I think, during the 12-3 stretch. The difference is it feels more sustainable because you have a talent like Jimmy Butler that's in the mix. I think he structures their hierarchy in a way that makes this team more dangerous and more believable. And again, they still got some holes. I think they still have some flaws, but they're going to be able to put away teams like Sacramento tonight. And to me, it's the best that this team has looked and the most believable that they've looked since their 12-3 start. The only difference is it's not Lindy Waters knocking down threes. It's not, different guys off the bench. Gary Payton II is now having a role. Moses Moody, I know, was playing well at the start of the season. But to me, it's just, it feels more sustainable now. And I could be wrong about that. It could come crashing down. But to me, I think what is going to, if anything is going to prevent them from rolling, it's going to be injuries. The biggest question is, are these young guys that are playing well now, like Pods and Moody, are they going to be able to do that when the big boys are not there? I wonder if they can continue with the confidence that they've clearly built and the level of basketball that they've displayed for these 5 games, going back to the deadline. To me, it's been different. It's been heightened. And this is a Warriors team that's now energized and got the proper shot in the arm that they needed to make this stretch run. And I think they can get to a 6 seed the way that they've been playing, combined with the opponents that are on their schedule. All right, 888-957-9570 is the number. Evan Giddings with you on Warriors wrap-up, 132 to 106, the win tonight in Sacramento. Let's go out to the island, talk to our guy Tony in Alameda. Tony, what's up, man? How we doing?
Hey, good evening. Thank you for taking my call. Yes, I'm going to bring up Jimmy Butler here. I mean, I know it's 5 games, 4 out of 5, okay? And, oh, my God, he's taking some of the slack from other players now, because this guy here down below, he could do his things there. Wiggins, he's like a tornado. He spins around and lay up. But Jimmy Butler, he will give his second chance and get the rebound and put it back up. And if he misses, he makes a free throw. Not only that, he makes a better free throw than Wiggins. I think before I talk about like 3-4 weeks ago, I said, no, please don't get Jimmy Butler. But now, the more I see it, I said, oh, my God, we got a post game right now. I mean, he'll take out some of the slack from other people like Curry. Just throw it down below. He knows what to do with it. He missed it. He gets a second shot again. I mean, how much do we get second shot from down below?
Yeah.
Okay. That's one thing about what I see from Jimmy Butler. And also, he's unselfish, believe me. And he plays defense, and he passed the ball all the way around, ball movements around. Tonight, I really appreciate the way everybody plays. God, get me upset on what's his name? Post.
Yeah.
Blocked by Ellis.
Yep.
6'2" versus 7-footer. Take it up strong, Post. Okay, you can shoot 3. Okay, and Looney, the same. You got to get up there, buddy. Slam that ball. Don't hit the heel of the rim. Come on, man. Well, we're doing good so far. What? We're 5 for 6. I like where we're going. Please keep it up, okay? And Green, he's got the energy from Jimmy Butler. These two guys, 6'8", 6'7", they're fitting to each other right now. And I think Green, he likes the way his partner is going on right now. I mean, we've been playing with 3 guards, 6'3", 6'4", for how many games now? But so far we're doing good. Keep it up. I don't know how Kerr's going to do with his 12-man rotation.
I got you, Tony.
I like it. Thank you for taking my call.
No worries. Call anytime. Thank you, Tony. Stay safe out there in Alameda. Yeah, the thing about Jimmy and why I don't even think Jimmy's playing his best basketball right now. You can tell that he's still working his way into shape, and you're seeing some of the, I don't know, kind of the incremental, I guess, steps that he's taken to get himself right. And one thing about Jimmy Butler, it's a little like watching like an aging striker in soccer. You can kind of see how they'll build in a rest throughout a game. Like, one thing I think is fascinating watching Jimmy is like, okay, so tonight he had 17 points, 7 assists, 0 turnovers, but he did it on 10 shots after getting to the free throw line 7 times. It feels like Jimmy plays almost more like a point forward than even Draymond Green. And that's why I think he works well with the bench, and I think he helps people like Pods. I think he helps people like Moody, because he's a much better passer than people give him credit for. And it's because he's not flashy. He doesn't have a bag of tricks. He's not throwing it around his back. He's not going between the legs. You just can't take the ball from him. Whether he's in the post, backing somebody down, getting to his spot, he's got such a tight grip on the ball and he's also a great target in the post. Like, there was a play where Draymond threw it up, and he went up like a wide receiver and snatched it out of the air before dribbling it back out to the perimeter. And I feel like he has such a wide radius that it's impossible to take the ball from him, either when he's dribbling or when you're trying to force the ball out of his hands if they're entering into the post or somewhere inside the three-point line. But I think Jimmy's a player to me that absolutely feels as much of a point guard on this team as Steph Curry. Because early in the games, at least the first 5, but if you've watched him at all during the regular season, it feels like he's a guy that would rather get his teammates going, because he's a guy that knows that he can get his at any time. He makes the game look slow, but he never panics. And we use this term a lot for quarterbacks, but Jimmy Butler, not Jimmy Garoppolo, although I guess they do share this similar term, they're game managers. And I thought Jimmy Butler he managed tonight's game very well against Sacramento, but he's managed the 4 wins of their first 5, and that's not something that the Warriors have really had. Curry is still the best player on this team. How he goes, in large part, they go. But I think Jimmy Butler is able to feel out, especially when Steph is not on the floor, where the ball needs to go, who has the hot hand, and how they're going to create successive optimal offensive possessions. And from that standpoint, he manages the game, at least on the offensive side of the floor, very well. And I would also argue on the defensive side, he can kind of gravitate and play center field a little bit. Like, the fact that him and Draymond Green are both out there on defense, I think gives the Warriors, I don't know, just a different way to, I don't know, kind of stop teams, or a way to neutralize opponents, because they're both really good help defenders. I don't think Jimmy Butler is necessarily great on the ball, but tonight it didn't matter. The Kings were loose with the ball. They don't really have a true point. I don't know if Malik Monk is someone that can really be that guy, but Levine is not. DeRozan was hot as hell in the first half. Like, make no mistake, the Kings were really in this game because DeMar DeRozan was urinating on everyone, especially in that first quarter. But Zach LaVine was terrible. In the 2 games that he's played against the Golden State Warriors, he's been awful this season. And that was somebody that, as I've watched him a little bit more this season, it just kind of affirms that the Warriors dodged a bullet. Like, if the rumors are true that they were preferential to Zach LaVine over Jimmy Butler because he was a better culture fit, they absolutely dodged a bullet. Zach LaVine, I don't think, is a bad basketball player. He's clearly talented, but I don't know how you win with him, because he's just so inconsistent. And it's almost like because he can get a shot and take any shot, that he feels like he has just the right to do it at any time. but he clearly is not acclimated yet to what the Sacramento Kings are trying to do. And I honestly don't know what the Kings are trying to do. They were playing good basketball before the deadline and obviously had to break it up, but they're 3-4 since, and I think Zach LaVine is just out there to get his. Like, they're playing the Sacramento Bulls tonight, in my opinion, and that's not going to be the kind of or brand of basketball that's going to win you a ton of games. All right, before we get to Moses Moody, who is talking postgame on the NBC Sports Bay Area broadcast, I want to fit Rich and Fremont in. Wants to talk about the win. What's up, Rich? How you doing, my man?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for taking my call. I think tonight is really a sense of what this team needs to do moving forward. Okay, they played team basketball tonight. That's what you saw. People want to focus on Jimmy Butler, but really at the end of the day, everybody contributed. I mean, Pods contributed, Draymond being Draymond, Steph doing Steph things, Looney, bringing his lunch pail to work like he does every game. And that's what you saw tonight. That's what we need moving forward. That's what's going to get us the 6th seed or the 7th seed to be able to get in the playoffs, is everybody contributing. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I couldn't believe. I was like, okay, everybody's contributing, and Butler, big part of that. And I was worried when they signed this guy, because I thought, okay, what drama was going on in Miami that makes them want to move on for him? Is there a local problem? Is there what's going on with Jimmy Butler? But it looks to me like, hey, you pay Jimmy Butler what he wants to get paid. He's going to be happy. He's going to do what he does. And that's what he did tonight. That's what he's been doing since he got here. He got paid, and then what is he doing? He's delivering. So in my opinion, team win, team basketball, that's just going to help this team move forward. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Rich. Yeah, I mean, I think it went bad in Miami because Pat Riley didn't want to pay him. And I don't think Pat Riley wanted to pay him because he wanted Jimmy to play and apply himself in the regular season. And that's something we're going to we'll table for next year, but Jimmy's not interested in playing 82 games. Jimmy's interested in playing like 21 games, and that is kind of what you need to do in the postseason. Like the last 2 months of an NBA season where Jimmy Butler shines. And that's why I'm even more excited about if this team can get out of the play-in. Like if they can get to the 6, I think they absolutely have action, because Jimmy Butler is a proven ceiling raiser. He's someone that has maximized every squad that he's been to, at least until it all blows up. But that's for another time. Again, that's for next season or the year after that. If Jimmy's paid, if Jimmy's happy, if Jimmy's locked in, you got action. And the Golden State Warriors are already a team that has proven that they can win when they're underdogs, like they did in 2022. They haven't proven that they can win a championship or even multiple series as a lower seed. They obviously upset the Kings a couple of years ago as a 6. But, the Warriors, I think, have a much better chance than 2 years ago when things were awry off the court than they do now. I think they have a better chance this year to make a run, certainly as a 6 seed. But, the question is, and we're going to talk about this a lot tomorrow on Warriors This Week as well from 9 to noon. Mark Grady's going to be in with me, and I know we're going to discuss it a lot next week too. I'll be in the morning next week. I'm in with Guru, I think, from Wednesday through Friday, and the week beyond that, because Steiny's got some vacation coming up. We're going to talk about this a lot. I mean, to me, the biggest question the Warriors have to answer is, okay, what's different about this stretch? Like, what's different about this stretch of basketball, this quality beginning to the post-deadline, the Jimmy Butler era? What's the biggest difference between now and when they started 12-5? And again, I think it's number 10. John Milton. Remember. Not the 5th of November. But what was it like in November, right? Remember. What was it like in November? The Warriors have won 4 of 5 for the first time since that 12-3 stretch. And I think it's because of number 10. I think it's because Jimmy Butler has had a palpable impact on the energy of this team. I think that's the difference. It feels the same as far as the vibes and obviously the wins, but the sustainability of it, and it could come back to be prisoner of the moment, but it feels more sustainable because of the talent and the star power at the top of this roster, which was not present at the beginning of the season, even if you like the fit. And the energy of this team is so high to the point that you got Draymond Green guaranteeing a title on All-Star Sunday. And I don't think he's an idiot. I don't think he would go out there and do that before this trade deadline unless he would legitimately believe that Jimmy Butler impacts their odds that greatly that they can make a run at this thing. And they're going to have to prove it. They're going to have to prove to me that they can remain healthy. They're going to have to prove that they can do this against better teams. They're going to have to prove that they can play high-level basketball, not just for the remaining 26 games, but for 4 consecutive playoff series. And that is a lot to ask of an older squad. But it absolutely feels different than their first 15 games of this season. And I think the reason is simple. It's because of Jimmy Butler III. And it's because of his track record. It's because of the way the Warriors have started. And it's because I also don't think they've played their best basketball yet. And particularly Jimmy Butler, I don't think has played his best basketball yet. He's still starting to kind of emerge from the mid-range. I think he's still feeling out his place on this Warriors team. I think that the Warriors are still getting a feel for how he works and operates. And I think also the Warriors have to figure out where he fits when Jonathan Kuminga comes back. But he has absolutely steadied and allowed this team to surge in a fashion that I'll give credit to a lot of people out there they thought was possible. I didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. But it's exciting to watch. And it's exciting to be a Warriors fan again, I'm sure, for a lot of people out there. All right, let's go to, is it Fazal or Fazal? Fazal. Fazal's out in Oakland, wants to talk about the game tonight. What's up, Fazal? You're on 95.7 The Game. How are you?
Good. How are you? It was a good game today, and I just wanted to add one thing with it, that the biggest impact is that it turned non-step minutes to Jimmy Butler minutes. So we had non-step minutes, and everybody was worried because the score goes high, and with non-step minutes, the score goes down. Now with the Jimmy minutes, it goes higher. Like, we're not worried, so it's a good fit.
Yeah, no, I got you, Fazal. I completely agree. Yeah, the whole question, I think, before Butler, and really for the last, again, I would say since Kevin Durant left, how are you going to survive when Steph Curry's not on the floor? It's a question that the Denver Nuggets failed to answer last year, which I think ended up being kind of their downfall when Nikola Jokic went out. You know, when you have a great player, you got to figure out how to get them rest, and you got to figure out how you're going to play well when they're not on the court. And it not only looks like, to your point now, Fazal, that the Warriors can not just play well when he's out, but they can actually extend leads. And that's even something that sometimes when they had Kevin Durant, they struggled to do. You know, they were just so dominant, it didn't necessarily matter. But, you know, you go and look back at some of those KD teams, you know, they weren't always blowing people out when Steph was off the floor. And, you know, I don't expect them to necessarily do that. But if you're playing even basketball, and tonight, like in the first quarter, I thought that's when the game and the momentum really moved in the direction of the Warriors. They were a plus 14 over about a 6 or 7 minute stretch between the first quarter and the second quarter. That's when they built their early lead. That's why they went into the half up by 15. And then when Curry actually did start to come alive, because he only took 3 shots in the first half, I thought he did a good job of facilitating, feeling out the game. Wasn't pressured to go out there early and take a lot of shots. And then in the second half, he did what he needed to. He ended up with 21 points, and the Warriors were better for it because they had 4 guys with 20 points, 5 in double digits, and it was a completely team effort. A big member of that team effort and big member of the win tonight was Moses Moody, who continues to play better and better. Was a plus 16, 22 points, tied for a game high in 29 minutes, 8 for 11 from the floor, 5 of 8 from downtown. Also had 4 assists and a block and just 1 turnover. But he spoke to NBC Sports Bay Area after the game. Here's Moses Moody.
You brought up Moses Moody. He scored in double figures at 14 of his last 16 games, 22 tonight. He's standing by with Fitabuki.
Moses Moody, 8 of 11, 22 points, 5 made threes. You didn't cool off on the All-Star break at all. 13 of your last 15 in double figures. Tell us about getting regular playing time right now.
Yeah, that's what it is. We got a good rhythm, good groove as a team going out. We know we got to put in the work we got to do over this last stretch, so we locked in.
My favorite play from you tonight, you knocked down the three, and while the ball's in the air, you're pointing at the official. I need my foul. Give me the call. Did you already know that was going in? Walk me through that one.
Yeah, it felt good leaving the hand, but I felt his hand hit my elbows. I was making sure the ref seen that. He wasn't too focused on the made shot.
What do you think about being a power forward now? Draymond plays the 5. You've been starting at the 4. The starting lineup or the power forward spot any different for you?
Nah, that's just the way that they got to put it on the stat sheet. But, we everybody do everything on this team. I do the same thing as when I was the 2. So, it's positionless basketball.
How excited are you about the balance to your team, this team's attack right now? You guys had 50 points in the paint. You're knocking down the 5 threes, but as a team, you knock down 20. But you're doing it from inside, outside, getting to the free throw line a little more. How excited are you about that?
Yeah, it feels good. The floor feels balanced. A lot of open shots are available out there. As well as free throws, we get into the free throw line more, putting pressure on the rim. So I just feel like the best way to describe it is balanced.
Moses, does anyone celebrate better than Quentin Post when he starts hitting threes?
Nah, he got the best celebrations on the team for sure.
Tell us, with Steph and Jimmy Butler and Draymond, you got the leaders, the old heads, but then you and Brandon at 21 and 22 years of age. What are you learning from them as the season goes on? Is it situations, and have they just given you confidence? I mean, there's a nice mix on this team now of age and youth.
Yeah, it is. I feel like you learn the best from observation. So just being in the locker room with the guys, with whether if it's halftime and we lose and halftime that we winning, just the information that they're dishing out and the stuff that they're doing in the game, like getting double teamed, stuff, getting it out and making us play behind the defense, just different techniques that I see them as well as the coaching staff. There's plenty of opportunity to learn out here from plenty of really good guys.
Where's the team confidence level right now? You got 26 games left after this one. This game has to make you feel good. A great start to this home stretch here, the sprint, you guys. Where is that confidence level for you, belief-wise, in this team, what you guys can be?
Yeah. We just won by 30. Confidence through the roof right now. Yeah, but we feeling good. I like the team that we got. I feel like we got a good flow. We was able to get a practice or 2 under our belt now over the break. Got to settle in with the new team. So I think we good right now.
Hey, you ready to see Dallas again for the second time in a week? That was a loss that left a lot of guys salty. You ready for the Mavs on Sunday?
Yeah. We got some unfinished business that way. And shout out to Andre. It's his big day.
Yes, sir.
Moses, thanks for stopping. You're always the best. 22 tonight. Terrific shooting. Enjoy that starting lineup. You're earning it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Moses Moody with Bob Fitzgerald and Clint Azabuki on NBC Sports Bay Area. Moses Moody, I think, is, he's someone that a lot of fans have been waiting to get an opportunity. And to his credit, he's made the most of it so far. I think he's going to continue to start, number one. But if the Warriors keep playing well, whether, he's talking about how a lot of the things are similar, playing shooting guard and now playing the 4. I think Kerr was proven right, or has been so far, that the 4 is his best position because that's where he's helping this team win games. But, Moses Moody is a guy that I think is also going to challenge Jonathan Kuminga for that 4 spot, because one thing that Moody does is he doesn't need the ball, and if he's going to shoot around 39% from three-point range, which I believe after a 5 for 8 performance he's going to be at, he stretches the floor more than Kuminga does. I think JK is more talented. He might be better defensively. But again, it's about figuring out how the Warriors are going to play at their best as a 5-man, 2-way lineup. And I think, we're going to find out when Kuminga comes back, but I think he's going to start by coming off the bench. And I think for right now, unless either Draymond, needs a bigger body next to him in order to take some pressure off of him, or maybe Moody struggles, to me, the 4 spot is his to lose. And I think the Warriors and Kerr is showing us, like, this is their best 2-way lineup. And it's going to be Curry, Podziemski, Butler, Moody, and Draymond. And I think the two positions, the 2 and the 4, maybe it would be the most interchangeable. But overall, Moody's playing fantastic. And tonight, I think he just continues to show you, I think, that he's got more left. And he's got room to grow. There was a stretch in the third quarter about midway through where he catches the ball on a swing in the corner, goes straight up. And that was the 4-point play where he points to the ref before the ball went, and he's got a little curry to him that he's pushing a bit. He's starting to call his shot before the ball goes in. You better make sure it does. But then, I believe it was 2 possessions later, he basically gets open on a tic-tac-toe play with Gary Payton II, and he understands where he needs to be, gets an easy layup. He also had a play in the second half where he attacked one of the Sacramento bigs and had kind of like a gliding layup that was not an easy shot off the glass. And it's like, wow, like, number one, I didn't know Moses Moody had the confidence to go do that. Nevertheless, the skill to consistently make those plays, that to me is something that's also been more impressive. And that's what's fun about the Warriors right now, and hadn't been fun, quite honestly, for about 2 months, is that like you're seeing those incremental steps being taken by all of their players. And that Curry's not a guy that's going to go and get better every single day, but he's going to have his really good games. Jimmy Butler, I think you're seeing take the incremental steps towards becoming what Jimmy Butler ideally can peak as a playoff player. And then from the young guys, you're seeing Moody get a little bit better each game with these reps. You're seeing, hopefully, when Kuminga get back to where he was before the injury, where he was averaging, I think, 21 points a game over his previous 10. You're seeing Podziemski, I think, step back being into the rookie that he was last year. That was a first-team all-rookie player. They're playing more within themselves, but they're getting better slowly but surely as you have Curry, Draymond, and Butler to kind of lead the team. We're going to step aside and come back. We got to hit a quick break here at the top of the hour. Stick around. I do see Chardall and Fremont. I want to get to you on the other side. I also got Steph Curry postgame for you. I got Kerr postgame for you. We'll get to that all on the other side when we return. Warriors victorious tonight to start the stretch run. 132-106 against the Sacramento Kings. Now 2 games above 500. Evan Giddings with you, taking your calls next on 95.7 The Game. We're back after this on Warriors Wrap Up.
3 of the night for Moody. It is a season-high 22 points for Moses Moody.
He has been fantastic.
Now back to Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
All right, Evan Giddings with you after the Warriors whack Sac 132 to 106 tonight at Golden One Center, a place that not so long ago the Warriors blew a double-digit second-half lead. January 22nd, literally almost a month to the day, a very different Warriors feel in the Bay Area, and it is because of number 10, Jimmy Butler. They are 4-1 to begin the Butler era. They have officially moved into 9th place. They are 2.5 back of 7. I believe in the standings right now, actually 2.5 back of the 6th seed of the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers lost last night. The Timberwolves lost. The Mavericks are a little bit ahead, but the Warriors obviously got a big matchup with them on Sunday that they kind of need to win, not just to close the gap, but also to give themselves a shot at the tiebreaker. That's obviously also Andre Iguodala jersey retirement night as number 9 is going into the rafters, so looking forward to being in the building for that one. Before we get to Steve Kerr and we get to Steph Curry, let's talk to Shardal in Fremont wants to get into the Warriors win. Shardal, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, Evan. It's great calling into Warriors Wrap-Up in 95.7 The Game.
Oh, yeah. I'm
a big fan of your network. I listen to you all the time after a great Warriors win. I love all the guests you bring onto here. This was a great win. The Warriors dethroned the Sacramento Kings 132 to 108 at the Golden One Center. Moses Moody and Buddy Hield combined for 44 points. They were phenomenal. They were on fire. And I think, and there's 26 games left in the season. I think that this team has it. I think I'm confident that this team has everything they can do to make magic happen. It's always great calling into the show. I like to share my insights about the Warriors, and I'll join you next time on Warriors Wrap-Up.
Yeah, no, appreciate it, Shardal. Call anytime. We love the interaction. We love the conversation. We love the vibes that, honestly, the Warriors, I feel like they have, resuscitated this fan base. Jimmy Butler's the defibrillator. He's injected some life into this team. So thank you, Shardal, for that. Let's listen to Steve Kerr. Spoke after the game about the Warriors' 26-point win. Yeah, they kicked the crap out of him. Steve, what happened?
What did you most appreciate about the way you guys played tonight?
Just the way we took care of the ball and avoided, points off turnovers for them. That's what's killed us here a few times in the last few years. We've had big leads and started turning it over and, giving up transition points, and we didn't do that tonight, and that was it's a great sign.
Conversely, you create 38 points off turnovers. What stuck out about your defense?
Just really solid. I thought we had them in a lot of late clock situations where we guarded their first actions and then put them in tough spots where they had to make some plays, and we were able to to force some turnovers and get out and run off of those. So just a great two-way game for us tonight.
A 420-point score. How do you feel about the collection of scoring that you guys got?
Really good balance. I thought Steph was brilliant in the first half. He was 2 for 3, and you don't see that very often where he only gets 3 shots and a half, but he had 6 assists and no turnovers and controlled the game. And, you see Jimmy's impact. I mean, anytime we get into trouble, he can get to the line. The game settles down when we get him the ball. And, and then obviously we had, Moses and Buddy both knocking down threes, and they both played great games.
You guys had like a 7-minute stretch in the first quarter, second quarter, where Steph was on the bench and you guys were plus 14 without him. I mean, what led to that, and what kind of luxury is that right now?
Well, Quentin came in, knocked down 3 threes right away. So that top of the second quarter group with Draymond, Jimmy, Quentin, BP, I think Buddy was out there with them. They were great. And Steph was even able to go back to the bench. He was scheduled to check in, and that group was on a run. And so we sent Steph back and waited till after the timeout to bring him in, bought him an extra minute, and let that group go.
Did you spend any of your break looking at the standings and trying to figure, because you've talked about the 6th seed being a target. I mean, how much are you studying what's kind of needed here?
I didn't look at the standings at all during the break. It was awesome.
Not once?
Yeah. I look at the standings every day. I mean, all season long, and we know who's ahead of us and where they are, and there's not anything we can do other than play like we did tonight. And the good thing is there's a lot of time left, a lot of games, 26 games left. If we can get on a streak like we did early in the season, get on a run like that, we can make up games pretty quickly. But we need to do that, obviously. So good start to the post All-Star break slate tonight, and obviously another huge game against Dallas on Sunday. So we got to be ready for that one.
I mean, Steve Kerr, I think is liking what he's seeing, but it's still a little bit, I think, cautious, optimistically cautious, as I think we all should be. And again, it's because I think, look, this is the first game of many of Final 27, but the Warriors are a team that just came out of the All-Star break, and they looked as locked in as any. And they looked like a team that was ready to step out after having basically a week off, well-rested, even the ones that had commitments over All-Star weekend. And they came ready to play. They were locked in. The Sacramento Kings were not. And if I was a Kings fan, I'd be very concerned about the way the rest of the season is going to go and kind of what the future looks like even. Meanwhile, for the Warriors, I think it's easier to look at this small part of the season as a blank and clean slate, as a blank canvas, really. And they get to paint it however they want. And Steph's got a brush. Jimmy Butler's got a brush. Steve Kerr's got a brush. Draymond Green's got a brush. They all do. And tonight's, I think, again, comparing it to the first 15 games, I think is the most interesting part of the first five with Butler, because they've won in different ways. They've won at the free throw line. They've won tonight. I thought their passing and I thought their connectivity with the 40 assists on 50 makes was absolutely outstanding. And with, I think, overall, the first five games, the ability that they've had to take care of the basketball. And I think that's something that they have not done very well in recent memory. And they absolutely have to get back to doing if they're going to compete with the teams at the top of the standings, at the top of the West. And that's something we'll talk about tomorrow on Warriors This Week. Grandy's going to be in for Devone tomorrow from 9 to noon. But, we can now, I think, we can start talking about how this team measures up against the squads in front of them. They faced Dallas and a depleted Dallas group on Sunday, but, Oklahoma City, Memphis, Denver, Houston, those are the top four seeds right now. And I think it's, at least for the first five games, it's obvious that this is a Warriors team that is not going to fear any of those squads. But it's if they can remain healthy and if they can remain with this level of energy for an extended period of time. That's a question that I believe they still have to answer. And age might be a big factor in it. Injury is going to be a big factor in it. And age both ways too. Like, it's not just the older players that I don't want to say concerned about, but that I have questions about. It's also the younger guys. Pajemski and Moody, and to some extent Kuminga, for example, they have not yet really been involved in a ton of high-level postseason basketball. And if Mike Dunleavy Jr., came on this station on Steiny and Guru last week and the week before the All-Star break and said, this is playoff basketball. Or no, sorry, it was last week. It was after the Dallas loss. He came on and said, this is when the playoffs start. This is playoff basketball. Well, playing 27 games of playoff basketball and then trying to play an extra 20 games of playoff basketball is very different than trying to get yourself prepared fitness-wise for a grueling 2-month stretch of actual playoff basketball, which is, I believe, one of the smaller things that gets lost in their 2022 run to a championship. The fact that Curry missed the last few weeks of that season and Jordan Poole was allowed to take the mantle and keep the team afloat while they sort of cruised to a 53-win third seed finish, that had Steph fresh. The fact that they were able to manage Draymond Green, who I don't think played a ton of games during that championship regular season, is a big reason why he was fresh during the playoffs. How can the Warriors, if they are to remain this locked in and this energetic, going to keep themselves at a level for another 3 months? We're going to have to figure that out. But again, it's exciting. It's fun. And it's a Warriors team now that is officially back into ninth place. They're 2 games above 500, and they beat a team that they absolutely had to. I don't think he got into some of those bigger questions, but Steph Curry talked after the game as well, and here's what the chef had to say.
Yeah, I mean, from first game, for certain possessions where you might not have something going, and he can create a shot for himself or somebody else. He's always under control. He sees the floor so well. I don't know how many people understood how good of a passer he was. I know Coach talked about that after the first game, but he can get to his. He can take advantage of the space on the floor. Usually makes the right play, and we're starting to figure out, a good chemistry with him. So, yeah, it's been a easy transition.
You took 30 shots a game for a stretch there, and tonight you took 3.5. Do you feel like you got another superstar next to you and you can kind of get off the ball with a little bit more ease?
I mean, a lot of that is Sacramento. They do some wild defenses. Last time we were here, even before Jimmy, it was a very similar vibe, but us controlling the second half had a lot to do with the experience, but also Jimmy's presence. That lineup when I was off the court, I think it was him, Draymond, Buddy was out there for a good amount, QP, I forget who the fifth guy was, but you look at the plus minus, there's a reason that they took advantage of those minutes, because when you have a lead and you're able to control possession, still get stops, that has a lot to do with him and the presence and the confidence that he exudes out there on the floor.
Steph, there was a lot of talk during the All-Star break. You guys were really talking about expectations and your confidence level. I know Draymond said you guys were going to win the championship. What does a game like this do right out of the break in the second half as far as making a statement and getting some momentum for you guys for this playoff push?
We have a 27-game playoff push. I mean, we finished before the break 3-1 with Jimmy on the squad, and the Houston game and tonight are huge. To keep momentum and then maintain it coming in to this first stretch out of the break. So you don't want to talk it up too much, but because every game is important, to be honest. But from practice yesterday, shoot around this morning, we were pretty locked in. It was a good energy, a good understanding of what we needed to do to win this particular game, and now we got to do it again against a team that we lost to a week ago. So every game is important.
And that was the chef, Steph Curry, talking after the 106 victory at Sacramento tonight. I mean, the Warriors, I thought, were clicking pretty much on all cylinders. Yeah, they shoot 54% from the floor, 47% from three-point range, both of which the high marks so far of the Jimmy Butler era, and 12 of 12 at the free throw line. But 12 turnovers to 40 assists, you're going to win a lot of basketball games like that, especially against a team that I think, Curry was talking about what they do defensively to him, and they certainly make things tougher just because they do have somebody who can at least, I think, make things difficult on him one-on-one, and that's Keegan Murray. I think he's a better defender than people give him credit for. And then off the bench, you have someone like Keon Ellis, but they're just trying to take the ball out of his hands. And that was how the Kings beat the Warriors on January 22nd. They did a really good job of basically taking Curry out of what felt like every play in the second half, but specifically the fourth quarter, and they forced someone else to beat them. That's why I think, though Jimmy, he had 17 points tonight, he's someone that, along with Draymond, you now have two guys that out of a double team, I trust to make the right decision with the basketball. More so Butler, but Draymond is still a very good passer. And if Draymond's the roll man in a 4-on-3 situation, he's now got, a couple guys that may or may not be able to knock down a shot, but more importantly, he's got someone else in Butler that is going to be able to get to his spot. And Jimmy Butler is someone that is always going to make sure that I think that the Warriors get a quality offensive possession. They might turn it over here and there. It's not going to be foolproof, but he's going to make sure that that doesn't happen successively. Like, I think what I'm excited about is it does feel like with Butler, it's going to be more difficult for opposing teams to go on massive runs against the Warriors. I know we saw it against Houston down the stretch there, but again, they finished that game. If Butler's not on the team, I don't think that they complete that game against Houston. I think they lose that game. I don't know. There are games that before the deadline, they certainly, I think, would have won if they'd had Jimmy Butler. To me, he's a stabilizer. He's a stabilizer in every single way, and he clearly complements Curry in a way that I don't even think the Warriors foresaw. Ironically, tonight Steph was a net neutral. He was a plus. Well, it wasn't a plus. He was a 0 in terms of plus minus. Jimmy was a plus 19. But I think that Steph is someone that it's like, he's not always going to have it. And you need someone that can help win you a game when Steph does not play well. Because as we've seen throughout this season, Curry, whose numbers have dropped, his percentages have dropped. Yes, some of it is because he doesn't have help, but because I don't think at his age he's going to be able to play 4 good games out of 5. He might give you 3. And so Jimmy Butler is someone that can not only help you, win the 3, but he can help you win one of the 2, or maybe even both of the games where Curry is having an off night if you're playing a team that's beatable. And those are the teams that you have to get. These are the wins tonight that if you're going to be a legitimate threat, if you're going to aim for that 6th seed and get out of the play-in tournament or the play-in situation, the playoff seeding, you're going to have to beat these teams. And the Warriors, I think up until this point, after Game 15 of the season, they proved they couldn't do that consistently. And now it feels like they can. And in fact, they've shown that they can. I don't think the Bulls are very good. I think that Milwaukee without Giannis is not a great team. They're certainly better than Chicago or Sacramento, but I don't think they're very good. I think that Houston, relatively, without Van Vliet, they've been playing bad basketball as of late. I'm curious to see how they bounce back after the All-Star break. They obviously finished off a tight win tonight against Minnesota. And Dallas is a team that is going to be banged up and hurt for probably most of the rest of the regular season, although they've quietly won 3 in a row. Kyrie had 35 tonight, and the trade of Luka Doncic has only allowed him more of a runway. So the Warriors, they haven't played world beaters yet, but that's kind of the thing, is they don't necessarily have to worry about the big bad boys coming up the way that they did in December. They played one team that was at or below 500 when they played them in the month of December. And I think that was the Pacers, who they lost to. But outside of that, they had, it was like 12 or 13 opponents that were all above 500, and a lot of which were top 4 seeds. That was a really tough month for them. February has not been as tough of a month with the help of Butler. Now you look at March. March is not that difficult. You look at Charlotte, Orlando after Dallas. You get New York, that's going to be a tough game, but at Brooklyn. Detroit's feisty, but that's at home. Portland, Sacramento, Milwaukee again, Toronto, Atlanta. You get beatable teams that are coming up more often than the big boys. And if you can take care of business the way they did tonight and not have to worry about playing Steph 35 or 36 minutes and you don't have to chase those wins as much, well, then you got a better chance when you got to go up against the Knicks, who you see twice, Denver, who you get at home in the middle of March, or even a tough road game against Miami. All right, last question here on the text line from the 408. Evan, do you think JK will be a lock to get a bunch of minutes when he comes back still? I do. I just don't think it'll be in the starting lineup because, again, if the Warriors play at this level and they continue to play well, Moses Moody is going to be their 4. And that's really the position that Kuminga is competing with right now, because if Draymond is at the 5, and I think the Warriors' ceiling is if they're playing small ball. They don't have the size to bang with the bigger teams, and that might end up being their downfall down the stretch of this season or in the playoffs. But I think if they're going to be at their best, they got to play small, and Draymond is got to be at the 5. Looney is someone that can help you off the bench play, and I think they'll obviously depend on Looney when they play some of those bigger teams, specifically in the West. I think OKC obviously offers size. Denver, no doubt about that. Memphis is a team that has a lot of bigs. So, like, Looney's going to play. He didn't play a lot tonight because Sabonis is the 5 for Sacramento. And I think without De'Aaron Fox and the new look Warriors, Sacramento turned from a team that was a tough matchup for the Warriors and a team that, you could actually see very easily why they handled them tonight. So I think JK is a lock to get a bunch of minutes. I don't think it's going to be as a starter. And depending on how the game is going and how Moody, along with Kuminga, is playing, I don't think he's necessarily a lock to close. But he's got to play, I think, at least 20 to 25 minutes a game when he comes back. The other part of it, too, is I don't think we're immediately going to see him jump to the 30 mark where he was prior to his injury, because by the time he comes back, he'll probably have missed close to 15 or 20 games. That's a long period of time to be out, and it was obviously a significant ankle sprain. So that's something that they're going to have to weigh as well. But I do think Kuminga is going to get tick, and while he may have to sort of reprove himself, that's to me as much of an indication of the growth of Moses Moody as it is about Kuminga and his place with this team. But we're going to dig into this a whole lot more tomorrow. Please lock in on 95.7 The Game from 9 to noon. I'll be back with you tomorrow morning on Warriors This Week. Evan Giddings alongside Mark Grandy will be with me tomorrow. He's got pre and post for you on Sunday for the Mavericks game. I'll be there as well. Looking forward to that. I'm also going to be with you during the morning show on Monday and Tuesday from 6 to 10 a.m., and then I'll be filling in for Steiny Wednesday through Friday, and then the following week, I'll be in with Guru. So I'll be with you a lot. We're going to be talking a lot of dubs, but obviously starts tomorrow on Warriors This Week. So big thank you to everybody that tuned in, everybody that chimed in, called in, texted in. Shout out to our fantastic YouTube chat. Enjoy, sincerely, talking to everybody during these late nights. You keep me up, you keep me energized, you keep me going, and you'll keep me right back here at 9 a.m. Also, big thank you, as always, to our guy, Cam, running things behind the board. Cameron Williams does a fantastic job, as always, our Warriors Network coordinator, and Chris O'Connell holding things down, getting us all that sound you heard tonight, chopping it up, making it tight in an orderly manner. But big thank you to everyone again. We'll talk to you at 9 a.m. My name is Evan Giddings, saying so long. You've been listening to Warriors Wrap Up after the Warriors beat the Sacramento Kings to start the stretch run, 132 to 106 against the Sacramento Kings. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you next time on 95.7 The Game.